Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. There was much excitement in the physics world this week as a particle consistent with Higgs boson was confirmed to have been found. Keith Campbell joins me to share his insights on the significance of this discovery. Keith, welcome to Second Take. What exactly was confirmed this week and how was it discovered?
Right. The phraseology, as you've already indicated, was rather cautious. A particle consistent with the Higgs boson. They have found precisely that, a particle consistent with the Higgs boson at a mass range of about 126 giga-electron volts. Giga-electron volt is actually a measurement of energy, but scientists use it to indicate the mass of subatomic particles. They can do so because of Einstein's famous equation E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light in a vacuum squared. So you can convert mass to energy. Now, they do not yet know the properties of the particle they have found, and they do not yet know the exact nature of the particle they have found. But it's in the right place and it gives the right signature to be a Higgs boson. The particle was detected by two separate experiments at the Large Hadron Collider at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, better known by its French acronym CERN, which is located near Geneva on the French-Switzerland border. These experiments are gigantic machines. One of them, Atlas, weighs about 7,000 tons and has about 3,000 kilometers of cabling in it. The other experiment is called compact muon solenoid. Compact is a misnomer. It also weighs several thousand tons. But these are the two gigantic but incredibly sensitive machines that detected the signature of the Higgs boson. These machines did not detect the Higgs boson itself. They detected the particles into which the Higgs boson decayed. The theoreticians who developed the concept of the Higgs boson, led by the British physicist Peter Higgs, also worked out what particles it would decay into, what kind of decay pattern it would have. It would have a distinctive decay pattern, and that's what both instruments separately observed, the distinctive decay pattern of a Higgs boson. As I say, the physicists, being physicists, are cautious and phrased it as a particle consistent with the Higgs boson. One of the reasons for their caution is that while under what's called the standard model, there would be one Higgs boson, under other theories of particle physics, there would be more than one type of Higgs boson. So they need to learn more about the nature and properties of their discovery to ascertain whether this is the standard model Higgs boson or whether this is the beginning of a family of Higgs bosons which would support the other theories.
Why, in your view, is there so much excitement?
Well, I just mentioned the standard model. The standard model is the current dominant theory to explain what happens at the subatomic level, the standard model of elementary particles. Elementary particles being the smallest particles, the fundamental particles from which everything else is based. And there are three groups of these particles. They're called leptons, quarks, and gauge bosons. Now, everything bigger is built up of these things. For example, protons, neutrons that form the atomic nucleus, they're made up of quarks. Particles made up of quarks are called hadrons, hence Large Hadron Collider, because the machine accelerates hadrons, protons usually, to tremendous speeds and then smashes them together. And it's the result of these collisions that are observed by the experiments. The thing about the Standard Model is, when it was first developed, it worked beautifully, mathematically, if all the particles had no mass. But particles, most particles, subatomic particles, do have mass. So a group of physicists led by Higgs came up with the proposal that the universe was filled with a field called the Higgs field. And it was through interaction with this field that particles gained mass. And different particles would interact differently. So some would have no mass, they wouldn't interact at all. Some would have some mass, some would have a lot of mass. Now, in the Standard Model of physics, every field has an associated particle. Electromagnetic field, particles, photon. So if there's a Higgs field, there's a Higgs particle, a Higgs boson. This was proposed in 1964. For a very long time, the Higgs boson has been the only particle, subatomic particle, predicted within the parameters of the Standard Model, which had never been detected. It has now been detected, or almost certainly now been detected. This is a tremendous boost for the Standard Model. This is a tremendous boost for our understanding of how the universe works. It indicates that the theory has passed yet another practical test. It also opens the way to a whole new field of research in particle physics. As I said, they still do not know the nature and properties of the particle, which is why the experimental physicists involved are saying that this is the beginning of the process, not the end of the process. And it could greatly increase our knowledge of how the universe operates. It could lead to a great refinement of the Standard Model. Or if they find there's more than one Higgs boson, it could lead to the supersession of the Standard Model by one of the even more exotic models there are out there. In practical terms, it has no consequence at the moment, but 100 years from now, it could be the basis of goodness knows what technology.
Few South Africans might realize that our very own scientists are involved in some of these experiments. Can you tell us more?
Oh yes, South Africa and South Africans are involved. There is a program called South Africa CERN, which involves 6 local universities, plus the ITEMBA Laboratory for Accelerator-Based Sciences, ITEMBA Labs. And 4 of those universities, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Witwatersrand, and KwaZulu-Natal, and the ITEMBA Labs, are partners in the ATLAS experiment. And South African physicists and South African physics PhD students have been involved and participated in the ATLAS experiment. Moreover, these experiments generate gigantic amounts of data, which need enormous computing power. So they dealt with this by setting up a worldwide grid of computing with data downloaded from CERN to 80 sites across the world, including sites in South Africa. So a lot of the data processing was done outside CERN itself and involved people all over the world, including young South African scientists as well. And we at Engineering News hope to be looking in more detail at the contribution of South African scientists to the CERN and to the discovery of the Higgs boson over the coming weeks.
Keith, thank you very much. That is the Second Take show for this week. Thank you for watching and join us again next time for more news analysis.